Well, the Dakota's on the ground and off the trailer. Looking good. Still has a bent frame. But I did a thing. They wanted about anywhere from $300 to $900 to fix the frame. And I found this. I want to give a little update on the Dakota. I actually just got back from the junkyard yesterday and I grabbed some more parts. So I actually picked up a fender for the passenger side. I already had a fender for the driver's side. I actually had both fenders and I just can't seem to find the other one at my parents' house. But I picked up the core support a couple weeks ago, and in the back of my truck you can see the front bumper and air dam. What that means is that it's actually going to go to the body shop here this week and get put on a frame machine to straighten out that frame horn. In order to do so, to make sure it lines up, they need the core support and the fenders to make sure everything gets back in line where it needs to be. So I'm actually going to bolt the two front fenders on here in just a little bit, and I'm going to bring them the core support and the bumper when I drop it off. Alright, fenders are on. Not extremely worried about the gaps, but it's looking more like a complete truck now. So, beginning of the week, this thing goes off to the body shop to get that frame fixed. Then it's back here in the garage to do the start working on the motor mounts. Well, the Dakota's on the ground and off the trailer. Looking good. Still has a bent frame. But I did a thing. They wanted about anywhere from $300 to $900 to fix the frame. And I found this for $350. Believe it or not, it actually has an engine and transmissions and runs. But this thing is rough. We got some holes there. The entire rocker panel is gone. I don't know if you can see that. The entire rocker panel is just gone. This cab is no good. But the frame is in great condition. It needs to be cleaned up and painted, so I'm going to do that. But for the amount, the bare minimum amount just to fix the frame, I actually bought this thing that's going to supply all the extra parts that I need for it. So I actually need a seat, and this has a good seat in it, has a good dash in it, door panels. I'm actually going to try to reuse the stock cluster for gauges, and so this truck has all of that in it. Not to mention anything in the engine bay that we would need. This hood is no good, unfortunately, though. But it does have an engine and a harness and good brakes. So this right here, this purchase right here is going to save me a ton of money. This was just a great find. So I'm going to work on tearing all the front end off of this truck, and getting everything out of the interior that I can, and getting ready for a cab swap. So I'm going to swap all the parts from this truck, my truck, onto the new frame. So cab, steering wheel, fenders, my new core support, the bed, all of that's going to go on this one. And once that's done, we'll get the motor mount started and work on getting it running and driving. So pretty excited. Okay, so I'm gonna call it quits for today. I got the fenders off, the bumper off, the grill off, the inner fender wheels out. The passenger side fought me really bad because they had cross-threaded the screw that goes onto the pillar. But bad thing is it messed up the fender enough that I probably can't sell it, but I think that's no harm done. But good progress today. I've got to drain the radiator properly because I have dogs out here, and in case there's any coolant, I don't want them to get sick. That's it for today. Well, I'm working on this wheel. It's beautiful in there. There's no lugs except for one right here, and it is just, I don't know what they did to this thing, but the wheel won't come off and the wheel won't move, and I have cut the line here to see if that would release some pressure. It did not. My gut feeling is the rear end is locked up. So I'm going to pull the cover off and see what we got there. If nothing else, I can take the whole axle out. So let me get busy. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this cover off. These are 1/2-inch bolts. Let me pull them all out of the diff cover first. Or that RTVR means that this differentials differently. At least we had the fluid change at some point in time. But this one's not going with the truck, so whatever's in there is not going to be too detrimental as long as we can get this out. I'm hoping someone can weld it. We're about to see. Pry this cover off here. Don't see anything broken. That's a good thing. Well, the brake must be what's holding it on, because everything in here looks good. So I'll see what I can do to get it free. Alright, I'm going to try something here. This right here is the little pin that holds the brake shoes in place. I'm going to grind these off and see if that allows me to pull the drum off. Let me tell you guys, removing this wheel was a chore. What I wound up doing is drilling holes in the aluminum around the lug nut and then using a screwdriver to break out the pieces between the two holes on each set. And this created a hole large enough that I was able to pull the wheel off of the lug nut. Alright, well, got the wheel off. Some shards left. I've got to cut this off, so I'm going to do it with the grinder real quick. It's coming very slow. Feel that the brake shoes are catching. Just for the record, I did try the adjustment screw in the back and it was not moving at all, which tells me that I think there's a lot more going wrong within these brakes. Just gotta keep working on getting this drum out. Back on. Back off again. So close. And the shoes were holding it in. Let's see if it'll, yep, it'll spin now. Cool beans. Alright, so I'm going to strip all this stuff off, put the drum back on, and put the wheel back on, because now the truck can roll and get a lot more done.
Are you recording?
Yeah, but I mean, I can change the audio, put it here in the middle of it.
I was like, what?
You're like, what? Well, guys, I got some pretty crushing news. Working on the truck, kind of getting ready to swap cabs. I noticed a pinhole in the frame, and then the pinhole turned into a gigantic hole. And it's really bad on this side. I don't know if you can see it on this side, but so. Anyways, both sides of the frame rail are rusted through. It looks like it's rusting from the inside out, which means even if I were to try to cut and section that out, other places are gonna rust through as well. So there goes the idea of frame swapping. However, I still need a ton of parts off this Dakota, the donor truck, like the master cylinder, the brake booster, the windshield wiper, the interior, a lot of pieces from that. So it's still not a loss overall. I'm just gonna have to actually go with plan A and go get the frame straightened like we had already talked about on my truck. But my suspension stuff is also better anyway. This stuff is pretty cached over here. So I'm not too upset about all that, because just about every bolt on this truck has been just a bear to get off. They've all been rusty. Most of the bolts are broken, which it just gives us more proof that this truck was a northern truck. And I'm afraid that if we dove into the suspension, that's why I try to swap it all out. It would also have a whole bunch of broken bolts and perhaps a lot of time with the drill. So I'm not too heartbroken over it. It's just gonna take a little bit more money to get that done, but I am gonna sell this engine and transmission to recoup the costs of buying the whole truck. So hopefully I'll be about net zero into all the parts that are gonna come off of this thing and go on to the Dakota itself. All right, now that we have the plan a little bit more identified, I'm going to make arrangements and go up to the body shop that I was working with on Monday. I'm hoping they're open because this upcoming Thursday is Thanksgiving, so they may not be open, but I'm going to see if I can't drop the Dakota off and start getting them to work on that frame. In the meantime, probably over the weekend, we're going to swap a lot of parts from the donor truck onto my truck. And then this week, I'm actually entering my 68 Nova into a local big car show called Houston Autorama. And my friend Greg is actually going to be entering his Typhoon as well. So what we're going to do is videotape the process of cleaning up those cars and getting them ready to go to the car show, and as well as the process of kind of getting in the car show and walking around and checking out all the cool stuff. So it's something we wanted to do since we were kids. So we're pretty excited to have a couple vehicles going into Houston Autorama. So y'all be on the lookout for those videos next. And hopefully we'll have an update on the Dakota too. But until next time, y'all be good.